What's up, everybody? Wherever you may be in life's journey, I'm so glad I get to be here with you and that you are here on this earth. So today is the feast, the day that I'm recording this, it is the feast of St. Joseph. And I'm going to be honest, I'm going to hop up here on my soapbox and I'm going to tell you straight up that I am so tired of the neatly packaged, curated way of talking about St. Joseph. And as a young father and husband, I need better. And I know that pretty much every person in my network and in my group of people, my friends, my colleagues, they all need better too. Because we as a church, we generally only discuss St. Joseph as this silent knight who was there to put food on the table and create a safe environment for Jesus and Mary. And like that's great. And there's an aspect of that for husbands and fathers that's like really good and a good call and a good challenge. And St. Joseph can provide good inspiration for that of just humility. I know that when when my wife first became pregnant with our first child, I was like, whoa, I am third in the priority order. Already what the baby wants and how the baby is dictating terms is number one. Like that is number one. It's the top thing, right? Then it's my wife and my wife's needs. And then way down here is dad. Now, sometimes like, if I got sick or something or whatever, it that dynamic would change. But with all things being equal in a normal day-to-day environment, in a normal situation, it was like my wife's needs, kids' needs, and then dad's needs in the way that St. Joseph is. Like St. Joseph is in the background. Like he is off in the distance. And Jesus and Mary are the show. And there's something good and proper about that. But there's also something really limited about that. And it's also really limiting to St. Joseph to just relegate him and his story and his life to being a silent provider and protector. Like St. Joseph let's just look at his story, right? Because what I need at this stage of my life and what so many people I know need is to experience in prayer and encouragement the St. Joseph who struggled to provide for his family. I don't just need the St. Joseph who was like the strong guy in the background who just took care of Jesus and Mary and everything was fine. I need to be with the St. Joseph fighting to provide for his family. Blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich had visions of St. Joseph in Egypt where he was denied work because he was a foreigner and a Jew. She saw him in these divinely inspired images and reflections. She literally saw him having to move Mary and Jesus from place to place, searching high and low for odd jobs so that they could eat and have shelter. It's like, I need that St. Joseph. Because it's actually really hard to describe, and it's really hard to prepare a man when he doesn't have a child. What happens to him when he gets married and has a child and takes ownership and responsibility for providing and protecting for those people? Like the instinct to come, to provide, and to provide over and above the minimum. I mean, it comes like a tidal wave. And you know what else has a tendency to come like a tidal wave? If you don't start providing over and above, thoughts and feelings of shame that you're inadequately providing for the people you love most, that you're inadequately providing a secure future, that you're creating a degree of uncertainty for your family. Like the burden of that on the shoulders of a man who suddenly wants nothing more but to provide and protect for his family. Like that's really real. And those feelings of shame, those feelings of inadequacy, those feelings of deep personal doubt, and the desire to isolate from other men until you measure up, until you reach some idyllic destination where you're providing over and above, and you can feel comfortable being in a conversation with other men because of the way that you're able to provide. Like, I need the Saint Joseph who endured those things and still got up every single day to fight, to provide, that still got up every single day and made it happen for his family by following God and by following God's will. Sometimes when we look at Saint Joseph, we see this guy with holding a baby and lilies as if he lived in this idyllic life of harmony and bliss with Mary and Joseph, and he was just this amazing carpenter, and he had this thriving business, and he taught Jesus, and he handed on the family business, and it was all that stuff. But that, instead, he didn't have this idyllic bliss. Instead, he had to struggle. He had to struggle against a world that was working against him, that was not looking at the skills and talent that he could provide, but just looking at him as a Jew, looking at him as a foreigner, and deciding because he's a Jew and he's a foreigner, we're not going to give you work. Like, how many men right now are struggling with this, that are like, no one else can see my gifts and talents. No one else can see my value. No one else is willing to pay for what it is that I provide. And so instead of me providing and protecting in the way that I dream of, instead of having that, I'm fighting tooth and nail just to get by. I need that Saint Joseph, because I need to know that A, I'm not alone. Like, men need to know that, like, we're not alone. And then B, we need to know that Saint Joseph is with us to help us now. So it's like, I need the Joseph that fought and struggled to provide, to inspire and to encourage. I need the Saint Joseph that was just tossed into Egypt and was like, go, like, go figure it out. I'll be there with you the whole time, but you got to go. You got to go into Egypt. I need that Joseph who was like, how's this going to go? I remember when, like, have a full-time job, I'm in school, and I decide to quit my job and start this new business even before I finished my education. And it was like, I'm trying to follow God. I felt like that's what God was calling me to, but it was into this abyss of uncertainty. And I didn't need idyllic Joseph in that period. In that period, I needed the Joseph that was like, okay, it's God's will, so I got to go do it. But that doesn't mean I don't feel all the things that come with a period of not providing at the same level that I'm used to, that come with having to endure watching your family be hungry. Maybe not starving, but be hungry. And maybe not in the nicest clothes, maybe not in the greatest shelter, maybe not living in the best part of town, right? And to have things working against you, in opposition to you, when all you want to do is honestly and genuinely provide for your family. You're not necessarily trying to become the next mogul, whatever, super rich person. Like, you're just trying to provide well for your family. I need that St. Joseph. I also need St. Joseph, the disruptor. So we look at St. Joseph and we're like, he's quiet, he's safe, he's strong, he's enduring, like, he doesn't make any waves, all of that. And it's like, wait a minute, no, that's not St. Joseph's life. St. Joseph's life, like, yes, facing Jesus and Mary, like when he was loving them, like, yes, he was safe and consistent and humble and there. But like, relative to the world, when he turned away from his family and he turned to face the world and to protect his family from the world, he was not safe. He was a disruptor. The law said if your bride becomes pregnant and the baby isn't yours, then you have to divorce her and essentially sign her death warrant. You have to do that. But St. Joseph didn't serve the law. He served the lawgiver. And so he hungered for and faithfully served the will of God despite the pressure, the social pressure, the religious pressure, the cultural pressure to do otherwise. When he had everything set up in his home, where he lived, where he grew up, all that stuff, when he had everything settled, it was like he packed up his family. He packed up his family and he went to Egypt. Like, he disrupted all of the comforts in his own life and in the life of his family. Yes, in order to protect his son, but he still did a major disruption. They moved away from home with no guarantees. So I need St. Joseph who's willing to disrupt, because given the current culture and the current state of the church, every faithful man who seeks to do the will of God above all else is going to have to develop a stomach for the world treating him with ridicule, for the world looking at him and being like, you're crazy, or you're inadequate, or what you're doing is harmful. You're toxic. All those things. Like, the church is going to look at a man who is trying to do the will of God above all else with scorn, not with love and appreciation and applause. And so faithful men in the modern world have to, world-facing, culture-facing, be willing to be a disruptor and to endure ridicule. Even if it's from your own family, you have to be willing to endure ridicule. So I need St. Joseph's example of strength and perseverance to inspire me to do the same. And last thing of what I need from St. Joseph, which is indicative of his life, is that I need St. Joseph, the teacher. Like, yes, I need silent St. Joseph. I need to learn to be humble and to be a good listener and to be quiet and faithful and all those things. I need to grow in that ability. Like, no question about that. But I also need St. Joseph, the teacher. I need a father who can tell me how to give my family the best. St. John Paul II would talk about this, about how, like, St. Joseph taught Jesus. Like, think about how radical that statement is relative to the way we generally look at St. Joseph. We generally look at him like he's silent all of the time. And St. John Paul II is like, no. St. Joseph was a teacher. Like, St. Joseph brought Jesus up. It was his job. It was his job to bring Jesus up in his trade and in his faith. It was part of his job to show baby Jesus how you operate in the world with integrity. And I need that now. I don't need a silent father who's hard to access. I need an active, leading, teaching father who is willing to say to me, like, yeah, I was scared when I went to Egypt, but being scared doesn't change what you have to do. Yeah, I felt the ridicule of other people when I decided to marry and to continue in that relationship. But my feelings of discomfort didn't change what God was calling me to do. So I kept going forward. Like, yeah, I felt inadequate and I felt small and I felt shame about not being able to provide better. But I was happy to do God's will and I was happy to be with my family, and my feelings didn't change my ability to appreciate and love the people in front of me. And I'm going to teach you how to do the same. It's like empathy and then teaching. Like, I need that from St. Joseph. I need him to teach me how to do those things. And so we need St. Joseph as an example of fatherhood because for too long, especially in America, we've asked children and wives to tolerate silent husbands, silent fathers who constantly and continuously remain inaccessible to those closest to him. We need men instead. We need fathers who are willing to speak, to show their children how to be and live in the world with integrity. And St. Joseph is the example of that. He's a hero of mine, not just because he loved Jesus and Mary well, but because he went through hell to do it. It's like going through that fire, going through those challenges, being able to relate to me with literal experience and show it to me and teach me and pray for me and be an example for me on how to do it. Like, I need that. Our church needs that. Our men need that. And we need to do a better job telling the story of St. Joseph. Because at this stage of life, St. Joseph holding his son with lilies in his hands does little to inspire my prayer to action. But the mere thought of St. Joseph defying authority, struggling to provide, staying true to the will of God through it all, even as everything around him seemingly burned, now that inspires me to an unbelievable degree and in a deep and profound way. So on his feast day, let's celebrate that St. Joseph. Let's ask for the intercession from that St. Joseph. Let's ask for that St. Joseph to teach us as husband and fathers of how to be in the world and how to love our family and how to feel what we're feeling, but not have what we're feeling change what we know we need to do. Have that St. Joseph teach us above all else to be hungry for the will of God. May God bless you, and may you always remember that you were made to do hard things.